I'll say it again. So there's the whole idea, you know, Alison just said, with the great thing about the training is that you go out and do 10 minutes. But if you go out and do that right 10 minutes, the 10 minutes that that horse needs at that time, it's amazing. So we were talking earlier about having, you know, how long does it take a horse to go from unstarted to, you know, up to flying changes under saddle. So all the stuff that's in the training. And my answer to that was 6 to 8 weeks. If you've got an unstarted horse that's, you know, quiet and uncomplicated, and hasn't suffered any sort of trauma, which is quite hard to come by unless you've had it forever, and that you were, you know, doing it every day and you were being consistent and you were working systematically through the training, which is what I want to talk about now. Because what happens with people is they get lazy or they get impatient and they skip steps. And, you know, it's really easy to look at independent hindquarter control, for example. You know, you look at the hindquarter module, you go, oh my God, that's really confusing. And I don't think I need hindquarter control because I'm not going to do dressage. I never need to do travail. So I'll skip it. I'll move straight on to the lateral work. Well, the problem is you can't move on to the lateral work until you can control the hindquarter independently of the shoulder. So it simply doesn't work. It doesn't work for the horse. And that's why, you know, we start with the emotional level. Let's get the emotional level right before we try and move the feet. Because if the horse isn't focused on us, isn't in the bubble, then the whole thing's just going to be such a struggle. And then to get that, we teach she'll skip to the bit, not because it puts it in a pretty frame and we can go into the show ring, but because it actually really helps the horse focus on us, and it builds this sort of communication where we're asking simple things and the horse is responding. You know, so it really is this sort of step by step that makes it all come together in the end. And, you know, it really doesn't take long. And I think the other thing is we're about to open the training again. And so that's something that's we're going to go back, you know, every time I open the registration, we go back to module 1. So, you know, any of you that have a horse that you would like to start again with, I really encourage you to do that. I really encourage you to come with us and go back to module 1. Because no matter how good you think your horse is, it's amazing how much it improves when you say, right, I'll just go back to basics. And it doesn't take long at all. Really doesn't. Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen with this lovely photograph from Straightness Training, and I don't know who the owner is, but I want to thank them for posting that, and they posted it publicly, so I'm not feeling terribly guilty about nicking it. And it has their name on it, so I've been sharing it with their name. So I'm feeling very good about it, actually. So here we are. Now, I am going to put this out on the Can Do page because a lot of people wanted to talk about it and not everyone could come to the meeting. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to look at the drawing and forget the top 2 on the left and the bottom 2 on the right. The reason I want you to do that is because they're just complicating it. If we talk about haunches in and shoulder in, they're the 2 movements that we use most often in dressage. If you're riding medium level dressage, you might be asked to do revers, but probably not. And so, you know, it's just the real smarty pants sort of aspect of it. You really don't need to know that. And we'll discuss why you don't need to know that later. We only use really the shoulder and the haunches, apart from the ones in the middle, you know, they're obvious. But let's just talk about the shoulder in and the haunches in. If we start at the bottom left, so right rein, the wall is on the left, the shoulder in is all about the shoulders. It's all about moving the shoulders, okay? So if your horse was going up the long side there, it would be on 2 tracks. So its left feet would be on the left track and its right feet would be on the right track. Yeah, 2 tracks. They follow each other unless your horse is really uneven or bent or something, and then you're in trouble. So we're going to assume a nice sound horse. So with the shoulders, we're going to just move this bit because it's shoulder in. So the back legs are going to keep going along the same 2 tracks. We're going to move the shoulders slightly off. So this back leg here, the right hind, is going to be on the same track as the left front. And we're going to make a 3rd track with the right front. Okay, so that's all we're doing. And this, as you can see from this horse's shape, it's the first step of a 10-meter circle. So if you don't know how to ride shoulder in, just come to the corner, ride a 10-meter circle once, and then come around again and go to ride it again, and then just ride it down the long side. Just take it down the long side. And you do this simply with your reverse arc. Yep. So you've asked the horse to bend to the right, and you put the rein on the neck, and you actually ask the horse to go straight. Open this rein here, the left rein, because you want the left foot under your left rein, which is going to put that here. Okay. So shoulder in is about moving the shoulders into the circle, into the line. Haunches in is the opposite. Well, it's not the opposite. It's talking about the haunches. So we're just talking about the hindquarters, not the shoulders. So that means the shoulders stay on the line. So the shoulders are in 2 tracks here. The left shoulder's in the normal track, the right shoulder's in the normal track. But we're moving this right hind to a track of its own. So the left hind goes with the right front, and the right hind has its own track. So we did the same thing here with the shoulders. We moved this across so the inside one had its own track. Now we're doing the same thing with the haunches. The inside one has a track of its own, which makes 1, 2, 3 tracks. Okay. Yeah, we're all smiling. It's all good so far? Yeah. All good so far. Okay. All right. So that's it on this side. Exactly the same up here, top right, on the other rein. So haunches in, we're only moving the haunches. The shoulders stay where they are. It's haunches in. We're talking about the haunches. Shoulder in, we're only moving the shoulders. The haunches stay where they are. We're trying to make an extra track. We move the shoulders, we move them into the circle or in from the edge. Now, if we were to move the line, let's take this wall. Let's keep these 2 movements here. Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's take this wall and stick it on this side. Let's put it down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then this same movement gives us counter shoulder in and renvers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just 2 movements. It's not 4 different movements. It's 2 movements. And we use the fence to practice this because it's easier for the horse. But all these other ones are doing really is taking the same movement away from the fence. So you can practice shoulder in down the long, down the center line or down the 3/4 line, but it's harder for you to keep your line. So it's more advanced. It's more advanced to come off the long side fence. So these are more advanced movements, but there's no, you already know how to do them if you know how to do these. So once you're good at haunches in and shoulder in, which you do in the lateral work, then you can take those away from the fence. Do ride the 3/4 line. And all you need to do is, come around and pick a line, pick a spot, the same as jumping. Just ride your line, but move the shoulders off the line or the haunches off the line. And so then when we get to half pass, what I didn't discuss with the haunches in was that with the shoulder in, this left rein here is riding the reverse arc. Yeah, it's controlling the left shoulder and it's in reverse arc. The right rein is open, it's controlling the right shoulder, and it's just asking the right shoulder to step forward. With haunches in, the right rein is controlling the haunches So the right rein is moving back to your belly button, and that engages the hindquarter, which brings the hindquarter to the left. Your left rein is holding the shoulder in the track.
Okay.
So when we then come to half pass, your left rein controls the haunches. If we're going this way with the diagrams taking us, your left rein makes the haunches go right, and your right rein simply asks the shoulders to go right. And you've got one leg on the horse here and asking it to move away from that. But if the horse doesn't respond to your leg, you've got this left rein here to say, hey, no, move your haunches a bit faster or a bit more. And if the horse is being slow with the shoulders, you can open that rein and say, move your shoulders a bit more.
And I thought half pass was supposed to be the horse's body would be straight on the center line, not parallel to the center line. The horse's body would be straight, but the movement is going that way. In this photo,
it's not a great thing.
okay.
I have a feeling that only had one horse diagram.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it seems to be repeated. So I would like to see the horse bent like a banana.
Yeah.
In a half pass and straight up. But when you start half pass, you know, the shoulder should lead. You know, they don't want the hindquarter leading. The hindquarter leading is a bigger fault than the shoulder leading. So if something's going to lead, you want the shoulder to be leading. But I agree that is not right, because it should be more of a banana and less of a shoulder in look. That to me is riding shoulder in, apart from the arrow.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why they teach, again, with the dressage, they build up to these things. So they build up to half pass by doing leg yield first. The thing about leg yield, if you take this horse here in that position, it would be leg yielding to the left. And for leg yield, you can be bent in the opposite direction of travel. And the reason you can do that is because your right rein moves the hindquarter to the left. So if you bend your horse right, the hindquarter goes left. Yep.
And a pirouette, the hind legs are supposed to actually make a circle. So it's not like,
the hind legs are supposed to make a circle. So it's not like a spin.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's just a very small circle.
Okay. But the outside hind would cross over under the body.
Yeah, so always in front of, all these movements are forward. So if you get a horse stepping back, that's a bad fault.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Any other questions with this diagram? Do you think we've answered Jan's questions?
I think so. That was a
Good.
fabulous explanation.
It was.
Good.
Basically,
Right.
it comes down to you need to be able to move every single part of your horse
That's
any
exactly
direction.
what it is. It's exactly what it is. And you need to think of it like that, because it was Jan that said, oh, it's just the neck. All I need to do is change the neck.
No.
Don't think about the neck. The neck is really irrelevant. And we know, any of you that have taught hindquarter control, or, even some shoulder control, the neck is the last thing to happen. If you focus on the feet, you'll get the movement. We want to ride the feet. We don't want to ride the neck. And that's what happens with low-level dressage all the time. As the judge, you sit there and you go, I can't actually see any shoulder in. I've got tons of bend in the neck. The horse is going up like this, but actually the feet are still in two tracks. You're not showing me anything. But so it is really easy to make that mistake. So I encourage you to just think about the feet. And those are great exercises, whether you're into dressage or not, because what they show you is that you can control each foot off the rein.
It's interesting that they're used as a straightness training exercise.
Yeah, because, isn't it? Because the thing is that horses, straight makes no sense to a horse, does that? I mean, why would the horse want to go straight? So you do have to train it, but you train it from movement off the straight line, don't you? You get straight because you've learned to control the feet to move them off that line. Yeah, and as you say, Robin, it's all about controlling each foot, just being able to control each foot.
But also in the sense of straightness training, I'm wondering whether it's a bit like suppling exercises, because horses don't do that naturally. Most of what we ask them to do, they don't do naturally. So it'll give them some degree of flexibility through their spine and things, and through their hindquarters and things.
You haven't seen my foals.
I do a lot of stuff.
They do every single one of those movements.
Oh yeah,
Perfectly, beautifully, in either direction, self-carriage, flexion, absolutely amazing. And then we screw them up.
and then we screw them up. Exactly. Yeah.
I know. It's just amazing to me to watch.
I agree.